You know, this video's been a long time coming. I wasn't sure if I was even gonna make it this far, to be honest, because 5 Twilight movies is a lot to ask of anyone. But then again, if I can do 3 seasons of Riverdale, I can probably make it through anything. But all the same, here we are at the end of the road. It's finally time to finish the Twilight saga with Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2. But before that, really quick, this video is brought to you by Raid Shadow Legends. So here's the thing, Raid Shadow Legends is actually one of the most popular mobile collection RPGs around right now. It has almost 10 million players after launching just a few months ago. Now, the main thing about this game is, of course, the graphics. I mean, if you take a look, this game looks like not a mobile game, you know what I'm saying? And it's not just the videos here, okay? Take a look here on my phone. It actually, honest to gosh, really does look like this, okay? Now, instead of having you just fight a bunch of random things for, like, no reason, the game actually has a full, like, real fantasy story campaign for you to play through. So, if you were disappointed by Game of Thrones, well, now you can be slightly less disappointed with this game. There's over 400 different champions for you to collect, and each one has their own, like, growth and skill tree, so you can customize everything basically however you want. And of course, the game is totally free to download and play, so use my link in the description, download the game, and get 50,000 silver and a free epic champion to start playing. So if you're interested, go check out Raid Shadow Legends. Okay, back to the show. So as per the ending of part 1, Bella woke up and is now trying to get used to a renewed vampire-hoodness ship.
You're a lot stronger than I am right now.
You know, Edward, I saw you take your shirt off in the second movie, so I'm pretty sure that's always been the case, but okay, whatever you say. Anyway, so now that Bella's finally awake, naturally she wants to see her daughter, but there's a little something she has to do first.
Renesmee.
She's incredible.
Where is she? I have to see her.
Wait. You need to get your thirst under control.
Well, shoot. I mean, I've been saying that since like 3 movies ago. So they both go out hunting for some aminals and give us the greatest CG I've ever seen. I mean, come on, Avatar who? Now, after this whole thing is over, Edward and Bella go back home, and who do you think is waiting there for them?
You're still here.
So are you?
I would keep my distance for now.
It's safer for the baby to see how you do with me first.
Since when do you care about Renesmee?
Oh yeah, funny story, Bella. You better sit down for this one, okay? Couple things might have happened while you were asleep, but trust me, you're gonna laugh. All right, Jacob, let her have it.
All right. Take a whiff.
What? Boy, what a way to change a conversation, huh? So Bella goes inside and finally meets her daughter for the first time since ever, I guess. And she has pretty much the same reaction we all did.
Someone's been waiting to meet you. Rose.
What the heck's going on with the baby, guys? Anybody else seeing this? Is this permanent? But that's when she learns the truth about what Jacob was about to tell her before he did the whole, like, pull my finger thing, or I don't know, whatever that was.
You imprinted on my daughter?
It wasn't my choice.
She's a baby!
But then Jacob tries to explain why it's actually not that weird to fall in love with a baby, okay, guys? Only God can judge me.
Do you remember how much you wanted to be around me 3 days ago? That's gone now, right?
Long gone.
Because it was her. From the beginning, it was Nessie who wanted me there. Nothing ever made sense before. You, me, any of it. And now I understand why. This was the reason.
Okay, hold on, Jacob. Let me just make sure I understand here. So everything between you and Bella over these 5 movies was because you and her baby that wasn't even made yet were actually in love with each other this whole time. So like in the movie theater or that time you jumped in Bella's window with your shirt off? That was weird, but anyway. All of this was just you having a thing for the baby that she was gonna have in the future? Well, nothing weird about that, Jacob. Makes perfect sense. It's just a nice, wholesome family movie. Right, guys? Anyway, the next day, Bella realizes she still has a dad, but of course she can't tell him anything about what's happened because, you know, that's against the rules or something.
Is that Charlie?
He's been calling twice a day.
You miss this place.
We'll come back. We always do.
Nobody said anything about leaving.
Once people believe Bella's dead, we can't risk anyone seeing her.
Now, Jacob isn't a fan of this idea because that would mean he has to be away from Renesmee. So he goes over to Bella's dad's house and things take a sharp turn.
I need to see Bella.
Look.
Here,
goes nothing. You don't live in the world you think you do.
Anyway, so Jacob tells Bella's dad about werewolves and that Bella is alive and everything's fine, relatively speaking. But of course, he doesn't just come out and say what happened to her, because the last thing any parent wants to hear is that their kid's gonna be emo forever, you know what I mean? So after Jacob does his magic mic thing, Bella's dad goes over to the Cullens' house to see what's going on.
I really think it would be better.
I want to know what happened to you.
I can't tell you.
I think I deserve an explanation.
But if you really need one, I can't stay here.
Oh, come on. No more going away.
Dad, you're just gonna have to trust that for whatever reason, I'm all right.
I mean, I just watched a kid I've known his entire life turn into a very large dog.
Oh, you think that's bad? You should see half of these kids on DeviantArt. So then they show him Renesmee and tell him that she's their adopted niece. And I mean, sure, that's all great and everything, but like, what is going on with this kid? I mean, the head is not even attached to the body. I know this is an old meme at this point and I'm like really late to the party or whatever, but this movie just has so much everything. And you know, apparently in the original cut, they were actually gonna use like an animatronic doll for the baby, but like, I don't see how it could possibly have been any worse than what we have. Oh my goodness! What's going on here? What is this? What's happening? What? Anyway, skipping ahead a little bit, Renesmee has now grown up because she ages really fast for some mysterious reason. And Bella's getting used to her new life of doing pretty much nothing. I mean, like really, they don't eat, they don't sleep, no one goes to school anymore, it doesn't look like anyone has a job or anything. So like, what are you guys even doing? Anyway, one day, Alice gets a vision of the future. So basically, here's what's going on. One of the Cullens' extended family saw Bella and Renesmee playing in the snow one day, and saw that Renesmee has like superpowers or whatever. Now this person goes to the Vampire Council and tells them that Bella turned her kid into a vampire.
I have to report a crime.
The Cullens, they've done something terrible.
Which is, I guess, one of the worst things you can do because, you know, like vampire kids can't keep secrets, they can't control themselves, it's just kind of bad news for everybody. So now the whole council's coming to Forks to deal with Renesmee and the whole Cullen family. So the next chunk of the movie is the Cullens going around the world gathering every vampire friend they've ever made so they can meet Renesmee and see that she's not actually a full vampire. And in the middle of all this, we also learn about Bella's superpowers.
Edward, you didn't tell me your wife was a shield.
What's a shield?
The ones I've met are so different. It's a defensive talent. That's why I couldn't read your mind even before.
Okay, wait a second. So Edward couldn't read Bella's mind in the first movie because she has superpowers that she could use even though she wasn't a vampire yet, because clearly this was all planned out from the beginning. Remember back when this was all just about some awkward loner girl falling in love with the weird emo kid who wears body glitter or whatever? Remember those days? And now it's just like X-Men, anemic edition. Anyway, so we're just gonna skip ahead a little bit here. Let's see here.
Hey, it's baby bottle pop. It's a baby bottle pop. Just take the pop, dip it and shake it, and lick it again. It's a baby bottle pop, baby bottle pop.
Not quite. Okay, here we go. So eventually, the Vampire Council shows up with all their little buddies, and it's finally time to do whatever they're gonna do. So the creepy Uncle Touchy vampire leader guy calls Renesmee over to check whether she is or is not in fact a vampire. You know, I was giving Jacob a hard time earlier, but at least he never did that. So turns out there's no problem with Renesmee, no one broke any rules, everything's on the up and up, and even Alice offers to show that creepy laugh guy proof that there's nothing to worry about.
Alice, we're so glad to see you here after all.
I have evidence the child won't be a risk to our kind.
It doesn't matter what I show you. You still won't change your decision.
So yeah, it turns out the head vampire guy was already going to get rid of the Cullens and Renesmee anyway, because, you know, what if she's dangerous somehow? Then a big fight breaks out where everyone gets to use all their cool superpowers, because that's what this movie is now, I guess. Anyway, so this fight goes on for a really long time, and just when Edward and friends are about to win, surprise, it was all a dream vision thing. Look at you guys getting all excited for no reason. And then right after this, two vampires from the Brazilian Amazon show up. No joke here, this is actually what happens in the movie. And they're like, we have a half vampire guy and he's not so bad. And then the head vampire dude is like, oh, okay, that's cool. And everyone just walks away, problem solved. So yeah, I guess you could say this movie doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Now, in the end, all the other vampires say their goodbyes and go home to do whatever vampires do, because you know what? The real half vampire baby was the friends we made along the way. Also, just a quick aside here. You know how when we first met Edward and his family and we were like introduced to the whole idea of vampires or whatever, and it was all about how they're so beautiful and perfectly groomed and all that stuff?
That's Edward Cullen. He's totally gorgeous, obviously.
Well, turns out that's only the Cullens, I guess, because like every other guy here looks like someone you would see outside the train station selling bracelets they made out of like belly button lint. Anyway, so now that everyone's safe and the big conflict is over, we cut to Edward and Bella sitting in a flower field for the 500th time, sharing a moment.
I want to show you something.
If this is about that mole on your back that looks like Bette Midler taking a dump, I told you, once was one time too many, all right? But actually, she's somehow just chosen this vision of like every Twilight movie and how they met and all that stuff. And you know, it's all like
super romantic.
And that's where this movie and the whole Twilight saga comes to an end. I know I already said this in my Breaking Dawn Part 1 video, but back when Twilight was just like a cheesy romance story or whatever, like it was fine. You know, the whole like Edward versus Jacob thing was dumb, but I can totally understand the appeal of it. I mean, sure, it's all about the fantasy, right? Like having your high school crush like you back, I mean, that'd be pretty cool, right? Not that I would know. But two of them? Can you imagine having that much free time? Oh, what a dream. But by the time you get to like the last 3 movies, I mean, it just goes all over the everywhere and just nothing makes any sense. Especially when they try and like explain everything, like Bella's superpowers or Jacob's thing for babies. You know, just a whole lot of information nobody asked for. Now that being said, I am actually a little surprised that there hasn't been anything else done in the Twilight universe. Because I mean, it was so successful and culturally significant.
For better or worse.
You'd think someone would come along and, huh? Really? 50 Shades is a Twilight spinoff? Oh dear. You know, coming to the end of a series is always kind of a bittersweet type of thing. I mean, like, you know, I've done trilogies before. I did the High School Musical movies. I did Camp Rock 1 and 2, and now I'm doing Descendants. Descendants 3 comes out in just a couple weeks. And it's like doing a trilogy is one thing, but Twilight is like a 5-movie series, you know what I mean? And so it's like coming to the very end of it now. On one hand, like whatever you think of the characters and the story or whatever, it's like, you know, not that I was like overly attached to it, but it's like, you know, I saw it from beginning to end and I saw how the characters changed and all that. And then on the other hand, I'm thinking, why did I do this? But still, you know, I've said this many times now, and I guess I'm just kind of repeating myself, but it's like the first 2 Twilight movies on their own are actually not really that bad. I mean, they're dumb and cheesy, but it's like, okay, all right, you know, a girl falls in love with a vampire and werewolf and they fight over her about who's the best, whatever. That's fine. I get the appeal of that. But you know, 5 movies, 4 books and 5 movies is a lot for a story like this. It's like at the end, they're just shoehorning in like everything they possibly can. It's kind of like Riverdale, where it's like season 1 of Riverdale was just this little like teen mystery drama type of thing, and it was fine, you know, and then now in Riverdale, it's just like, I don't even know what anyone's trying to do or be anymore. It's just all over the place. But yeah, so that is Twilight, you know, I actually made it to the very end. Like I said in the very beginning of the video, I didn't think I was actually gonna make it that far. I made the first video and the second one, and then I was kind of like, you know, I don't know if I'm really gonna go all the way to the end of this, and then here we are at the very end. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to ring that bell so you don't miss any videos from me. Follow me on Twitter. Let me know what was your favorite part of the video, or just come say hi or give me suggestions for what series I should do next. You know, I don't know, maybe Bring It On, maybe Cinderella Story, I don't know, who knows. Follow my dog Charlie on Instagram, Charlie Meets Pumpkin, and above all else, everybody have a great day, and I'll see you all next time.